Drugstore Holiday Glam. Even the skin prep and the brushes I'm going to use, I'm going to keep affordable or on the drugstore side. So starting with the e.l.f. Super Hydrate Gel Moisturizer. I do think that specifically this purple line is discontinued, but the blue line is just as good, their Moisture Surge. And I'm making sure I get this on every area of my face. Catrice also has this Aqua Splash Grip Primer that I think is good to add hydration. I don't necessarily think that it adds a whole lot of gripping staying power, but for those of you that love primer, I don't think it's necessary. I think it's just that extra step to really take into consideration your skin, and I think that is what makes your makeup last long, is really considering your skin. So layer a serum and a moisturizer, layer a toner and a moisturizer, make sure your face is clean and freshly washed. Catrice has a dupe. This is the Soft Glam filter. It's like the Hollywood Flawless filter, except this one doesn't break me out and the other one does, and this makes your skin look so flawless, and we're talking that full coverage holiday glam. So we're gonna need to be layering some products. This is the Kabuki brush by Palladio. It's their flat Kabuki brush. This is sold in Sally's and also on their website, and as well it's linked on my Amazon and in my showcase. I also will go ahead and set up just like an Amazon drugstore makeup favorites so that you guys can easily find the products I'm using today. Absolute favorite, tried and true, 100% favorite drugstore foundation, always will be, always has been, L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow 04 Natural Buff. This one is just about out. And then I'm going to go in with the same foundation brush and really pat and work this into the skin. Notice I'm not rubbing or swiping. This is a very hydrating formula, so if you do that, you're going to start to see streaks in your foundation. We do not want that. Then I'm going to go in with the Real Technique sponge. This is always damp. I'm never going to use a dry beauty blender. It is literally going to defeat the purpose. Sometimes you will get specks of like glow in this foundation. Just blend it out a little bit more. There was a speck on my cheek. This is going to help soak up any additional extra product. It's also going to push this product into the skin and remove any kind of lines or streaks or, like I said, just like additional product that's trying to build up. Drugstore Cream Bronzer 100% Milani Cheek Kiss. I love the shade 110. The own shade 120. It's a little too warm for my, I don't think it's too warm for my liking. I think I like this one so much better because it has a tints of coolness to it. So like I like to use a powder bronzer because I have a favorite powder bronzer from the drugstore that I often use over high-end bronzers all the time. So I like to use this one as contour because you see that cool effect it gives, like truly genuinely adds a shadow to the face. I do have a set of like 30 brushes I got for like $11 on TikTok Shop, and I also have a set that I got for really affordable, maybe like $15 for like a whole set, linked on my Amazon. So that is a mix of the brushes I'm going to be using today when it comes to eyeshadow and like small little parts on my face. But I like to add my bronzer underneath my lip, and I also like to use my finger and go around the top of my lip. This helps create a shadow and the illusion that my lip is a little bit bigger than it is. I also like to use my finger to do my nose contour. I like to always put some underneath and across because it gives you that cute little like lifted button nose. I don't like a super strong nose contour personally. And on the jawline, I go over everything with my sponge. It really just makes everything super seamless and super flawless. Do my brows. Normally I do those first, so then if I don't, I do them first, I forget. The Ardell Brow Glue. This is a lamination glue, so if you don't like the laminated brow look, you're not going to love this. I definitely should have done my brows first, but I don't really know why I didn't. I recently plucked my brows just a little bit thinner than normal because when I do this kind of laminated look, it does make them appear thicker. And then I'm going to use the NYX brow pen. This is, if you don't own this, like you have to. It is so good for finishing touches. It is so good just in general to do your brows with on a no makeup day. Even when I use a brow pomade, I like to go back in with this to add some dimension. Brows really are the most important thing to me, and they are really hard to do when I already have my base on, so I kind of messed that up. Maybelline Fit Me sealer. If you guys have been following me for the last 10-12 years on YouTube and TikTok and all that, you know this is my favorite way to clean up my brows, to help you get that clean, crisp line. To cream blush. Now this one from Catrice is really good. It's a cream powder duo, and I do like this one, but I'm gonna use the ColourPop, excuse me, ColourPop blush stick in the shade Under Pressure, because I have not used this one in quite some time, and I really, really, really like this one. I like to put the concentration on the center of the apples of my cheek, and then I'm gonna go in with a Real Technique brush. This is a setting brush. It's the same one we used for the contour, and I'm just gonna start blending this out by tapping and moving my hand in a circular motion. So my arm is tapping. You can even move your face instead, and then we're going out into a circular motion. That's gonna keep that makeup layered on top. I'm not moving, swiping, or rubbing. To add whatever is left on the brush a little bit to my chin. And I might even go in here, grab a little bit, and gently hit the high points of my face. Now, it's not going to look like the blush does on your cheeks, okay? We don't need it that pigmented, but it's going to add this cohesiveness to your skin that just brings your skin back to life. If you skip this step, like you totally can if you want to, but I'm telling you, if you do this step with just residual of what's left on your brush or just a little bit of product, it just gives this cohesiveness to your face that you cannot get truly any other way. And I have quite a few drugstore concealers. The Maybelline Fit Me is one of my favorite. I don't like the Age Rewind on myself personally. It gets a bit splotchy, it doesn't look very good. I also have the Pacifica Dreamlit concealer, and I like that, but it's not super full coverage, so I'm gonna do a mix. Tower 28 Drugstore, for some reason I feel like it's not. So the Flower Beauty concealer here, but I feel like that is cheating because they discontinued this. I'm gonna use the Maybelline Fit Me. This is in the shade 15, so it's a little bit darker than what we used under the brow. This is a super hydrating medium to full coverage, depending on if you layer it and add more. And I'm doing pretty full coverage, so I'm gonna add a little bit of this, quite a little bit of this. I do want a lot of concealer. Concealer is my favorite product, hands down. If I was on an island, that's the product that I would bring with me. And I'm going to blend this directly out with my sponge. This is going to give me a really, really flawless effect. I'm putting it on those high points to create contrast and give me a good blend in between the areas. I didn't put blush and I didn't put bronzer. That's why you'll see some people put it up underneath their contour as well. It helps clean everything up and look really, really seamless. I like to put it on the edges of my nose. Just the edges of my nose. I noticed that I can lose coverage there, but I also like it to be a little bit brighter and brought forward. That can give you a youthful appearance, but I don't like to bring it down into my smile lines because I don't like a whole lot of extra product there. Cakey and accentuate those lines. So good and so flawless. I love this concealer because it's so hydrating. Hands down my favorite drugstore powder always will be the Makeup Revolution. You get such a good bang for your buck. This is such a good deal. I'm gonna use this to pour it out on because that is my one gripe is that you have to like pour it into something. Then I just get these powder puffs on Amazon and I just wash them with like a load of towels. And be meticulous with every step of your makeup, you know? Like don't just slap and throw your powder on. I'm being very meticulous about the areas that I'm setting because I am gonna go in and use a powder blush and bronzer from the drugstore to go ahead and set those areas in place, and so I don't need extra powder there. If I'm extra oily, I would definitely do a layer of powder there and then my powder products, but I personally am not, and I want a little bit of that dew, I want a little bit of that glow. This powder, even though it says translucent, does have a little bit of color payoff if you can't tell, so I try to go really, really thin with it on the areas I don't actually want like a lot of brightness to be added. To prep my eyes, I'm just always using the same concealer and I'm using the same powder, and I'm always pushing it in with a sponge because it's going to really set it and push those products and layer those products into the skin, which is going to help me again with longevity. You guessed it. My ultimate favorite blush from the drugstore is Milani Luminoso. I have said so many times, time and time again, that I will wear this on my wedding day, and what's funny is it's coming up kind of soon. Like it's kind of soon. A Wet n Wild brush. It is shaped to look like a rose. And again, I'm gonna hit those same points that I did to make everything really cohesive and beautiful. L'Oreal Infallible Bronzer. This is the best powder bronzer you're gonna find at the drugstore. I promise you. This is an Ulta blush, so I think that's drugstore. I think that's fitting. This is the Ulta Beauty blush brush, but I like to use it for my bronzer. And you're always gonna go in first where you want the most pigment, and I want this to be like a very nice blown out bronzy look, so I'm kind of going right up here and then kind of using circular motion so it's not a stripe down my face. I have that contour and that powder underneath to really give me that snatched look. Take it into the outer half of my eye crease. See how it just gives definition? It just looks blown out, and it does some of the work for you when you go in to add your crease color later. This is a full makeup tutorial, y'all. If you're watching all of this, leave me your favorite emoji in the comments so that I know you have watched this far. I'm curious, what's your favorite emoji? For drugstore palettes, I have Morphe and I have ColourPop and I have Wet n Wild. I think I'm gonna reach for Morphe just because these are the tones that I'm wanting to go for. Just like some cool and warm browns. Perfect for what we're going for. These black ones with the rose gold like metal, I'm pretty sure are the ones that I got from TikTok. No, these are the ones I got from Amazon, the silver on silver. These are B small. These will be linked in my Amazon. They are currently linked in my Amazon, and these are the brushes that I'm going to use. A crease size looking brush. This lighter brown shade, coat my brush, dust it off, and just kind of build up this crease with a brush with nothing on it, and just kind of make sure everything is nice and blended. With this brush that's like a little bit, I don't know, smaller, and use this chocolate brown shade in the middle. And put this on my lash line as if I was drawing a liner, but I'm not winging it. It's just angled, if you can tell. And then I'm going to blend it out with the brush we used for our crease. Taking a really tiny brush from that Be Small collection and making sure that I really got that up into the lashes and on the lash line. I'm a fan of that. I'm going to take my concealer brush that we used for our brows. I'm going to wipe off the excess concealer on the back of my hand, and I'm just gently going to conceal and clean up and give my eyeshadow a nice clean edge. Make sure things are blended, and there's a sparkly black shade in here, but you're not really gonna see the sparkles unless you did a smoky eye with this and tapped the shade on. The sparkles aren't really gonna come through, and I'm just using the tiniest bit with the brush that we used for the dark brown. And lay that dark brown down underneath my eye, but only on the outer corner. I'm gonna go in with a clean brush and this really, really light taupe shade that's probably not going to show up much, which is kind of the point, because what it's gonna do is give me like a medium, and by medium I mean like an element. How do I explain this? Like, you know, like a mixing medium when you're painting or drawing or like doing something like that. You need like a medium that is going to help things easier to blend and look more like airbrushed and flawless. Because the shade is so light, it gives that effect. It's that medium, you know? Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'm so very sorry. Is Tower 28 drugstore? I need to know, because that's one of my favorite drugstore mascaras. I'm gonna use Maybelline Total Temptation. This is a brown mascara, but I do love it, and it's fun to wear brown mascara. I love this formula. This is my favorite lip liner, can you tell? Milani shade 03. It's just so good. My favorite drugstore lip is NYX London Soft Matte Lip Cream. I don't know where my favorite Wet n Wild highlighter is. Lunch Money Super Cheek Shock from ColourPop. This is beautiful. It's like a cream to powder, so it just gives you that like lit from within, easy to achieve, and then you could really mattify everything but still get the glow where you want it and control it if you have really oily skin and you're scared of a glow. This Glam is gonna last you all day, girl. My two favorites from the drugstore are gonna be the NYX Bare With Me Prime Set Refresh. I love this if you're using a matte foundation. Spray this throughout to give yourself some hydration if you're dry like me. And this matte one doesn't set you like fully matte, but it has a really nice staying power. This is the Pacifica Set and Protect Matte Sheer Setting Mist. Thin, but it's also very fragranced. If you want something that you can actually like feel the wetness and add hydration back, it's gonna be this one. And then I like to go in with my sponge and just push everything in to the skin. You could add rhinestones with some glue if you want to do similar to the holiday tutorial I posted for Thanksgiving with the red lip and everything. That this comment in the beginning of this video came from that video. It's another holiday makeup look with a red lip and like really simple gems and stuff, but this is the finished look. I love it. It's just such a good go-to. You can add a red lip and it's not going to look out of place instead of the neutral lip. If you have the neutral lip, add some sparkles or gems to your eyes. Like, it's just foolproof, flawless. One of my favorite looks.